group instruction. So something similar, I'm sure, to what you do with your teacher in the classroom. So what we're gonna do is start with a little word study. You're gonna ignore all the other adults behind you, just look at me, okay? And just be your smart, sparkling self, all right? So we're gonna do a little word study, and then we're gonna do a little bit with the book. You introduced this sort to them already? Is that what I understood? All right. So I'm gonna give you each a set of cards to do with your word study. And does anybody remember their patterns for this week? The ones that you learned? If I get the word sheet, do you remember what the pattern was in sheet? Let's do a quick little review, okay? So I'm gonna put the word sheet here, and fresh, and steam, and cheap. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare each word, and we're going to look for something that's similar. So this is the word bend. Bend sheet, bend fresh, bend steam, bend cheap. I'm going to put bend with fresh. Brief. Brief sheet, brief sheet, brief fresh, brief steam, brief sheet. Spell, spell sheet, spell fresh, spell steam, spell cheap, spell fresh. Leave, leave sheet, leave fresh, leave steam, leave cheap. Let me try one more. Creek, creek sheet, creek fresh, creek steam, creek cheap. I'll put that one here. Do you see how these are similar? And this and this. All right, so what I'm gonna do is, and this comes off, I'm just gonna put 1, 2, 3, 4, all right? I'm gonna show you a word. If you think you know where it's gonna go, just hold up one finger by your ear, or 2, or 3, or 4. That way I'll know that you know it or not. Okay, so put your fingers out. I'm gonna see where your fingers are. And I don't blame you. You know, I have the same gloves at my school, because it's so cold in my bedroom. It's freezing, isn't it? Clean. Is it gonna go with sheet? If so, you'd put 1 by your ear. Does it go with fresh? You would put 2. Does it go with steam? You would put 3 by your ear. Does it go with cheap? You would put 4. What do y'all think? All right. How about thief? With sheet, fresh, steam, cheap. Hold up your fingers for me. Yep. How about peach? Don't say it, just hold them up. You know where it goes? Show me your fingers. Yep, everything. Well, I'm gonna put peach with steam. Let's try one more. Sleek. You know what it goes here? All right, let's look at these real quick. Read these words with me. Sheet, creek, sleek. What's the pattern that you see that's the same? Christian, what do you see that's the same in all those? That's the pattern. 2 E's. What's the sound the 2 E's is making? E, the long E sound. When I see 2 E's, it generally makes the long E sound. Let's look at this one. Hi, Kaviana. Mrs. Estel. Nice to meet you. All right, let's look at these. Read these words with me. Fresh, bend, spell. What's the pattern you see? What are the letters that are the same in all 3 of these words? It only has 1 E. When a word has 1 vowel and the vowel is an E, what's the sound it makes? Eh. It's the short E sound. Perfect. Then read these with me. Steam, leave, clean, peach, CN. What's the pattern that you see? They all have an E and an A. In this instance, what's the generalization? What's the sound that EA makes? Chastity? You got it. It's the long E too. And then we've got these 3. Read these. Chief, brief, thief. What's the pattern we see here? Linnea? IE. And so what's the sound of IE, Christian, in chief, brief, thief? It's the long E. So there are 3 ways that we can spell long E. 1 way, short. All right, so what I'm going to do is I want to give you your cards, and I want you to whisper read the cards, and I want you to sort them for me in those groups. You're going to see the underlined bold words. Those are your headers. Go ahead and start sorting. Where would leaf go? Perfect. Yep. You got it. Read these students with me. Tell me the pattern. What's the sound? Perfect. This one. Pattern. And what's the sound? All right. You two are gonna partner up. You're gonna point to each row, you're gonna ask him, what's the pattern, what's the sound? And then he's gonna do it to you. You two are gonna partner up. You're going to ask her to read each row of the cards, what's the pattern, what's the sound, and then she'll do it to you, okay? Go. What's the pattern? What's the sound? Perfect. All right, start reading, Davion. What's the pattern you see? When you by itself, what's the sound? Shorty. Start forming by making the word fresh. All right, now read those to us. What's this one? What's the pattern you see? And what's the sound it makes? E, breathe E, the long E. Point to the next row for her, sweetie. Ask her to read the next row. So what's your pattern? No, what's your pattern? What do you see that's the same in all those? And what's the sound EA makes? What's the sound EA makes? Let's say it again. E, O, E, each, ease. Makes a long E. Answer the next one, sweetie. Oh, that's right, you moved it. What do you see that's the same in all of these? Castle. They have a short E. What's the sound of short E? You got it. Perfect. For all of them to join it. All right. So I wanted to do a little bit of word building with you as well. And Christian's already started for me. There's one way to spell short E that we learned, which is just an E. But there's 3 ways to spell long E. What was one of the ways to spell long E? Do you remember, Chastity? What was one of the patterns to spell long E? An I and an E. What's another way to spell long E? You remember, Christian? Well, the word clean. Remember how clean was? Or sweet? Oh, sweet. 2 E's. And then in clean, we had EA. So we're going to do a little bit of word building. I'm going to ask you to build some words. And I think what the hardest part is, when I work with kids, is they're not sure which one of these patterns. So I'm going to give you a little bit of support. But let's start with some short vowel words, since you should be pretty good with that. Tell them the first word to build, Christian. Build the word fresh, everybody. And I love that Christian went down to the number of boxes that you needed to build the word fresh. Fresh. So you get how you spell fresh? Good. So I'm feeling pretty good about the short vowel ones, because you're this far along, you're pretty good with short vowels. So let's really focus in on these three. This is where it's gonna get tricky for you. Let's try the word heat. I heard the heat turn on. So if I were to think of this, there are three patterns that I could use. I want you to use, there's a really good strategy called, which one looks right? If I look at these three ways to spell long E, which one looks right? Go ahead and build the word heat for me. Yeah, you can use any of your letters, yeah. So build the word heat. I want to keep those patterns in my head so I know which one I should be choosing. Linnea, how did you spell heat? H-E-A-T, you've got it. Let's go to the word peach. So again, I know to try one of these samples. One should look right, the other two should not look right. See if you can build the word peach for me. Peach. Ooh, Chastity, I'm glad you switched that. You're exactly right. Yes, you do have it. Good job, Tavion. How did you spell peach, Tavion? Perfect. Let's get a little harder. How about the word thief? Thief. The raccoon was a thief. Again, think of my patterns that I've got. Which one looks right? All the books you've read, which one looks right? Oh, Chastity, I love that you switched that. How do I spell thief? Cian, you did. Good for you. Cian, how do I spell? Perfect. Let's try one more. Try the word creek. The water in the creek rose. This is a tricky one because it's a homophone. There's two kinds of creeks. The water in the creek grows. Yeah, there it is. You've got it. How do I spell creek? Davian, how do you spell it? Does anyone know what this creak means? Oh, like they could be creaking up the stairs. You're right. Creaking up the stairs. All right, so as you're sorting these words this week, I think the trickiest part will be knowing IE, EE, and EA. And a really good strategy is always, does that look right? You did great with that. I'll take those back. Great. All right. So now we're going to get into a book. Before we do that, we're going to do something called predicting. And let's see how well you are able to predict. We're going to read a piece of fiction. Does anybody remember what all fictional stories have to have in common? Facts. Do fiction stories have facts? I'll give you. They have to have this. Characters. So it's got to have characters. If it's a book that's got characters, do you remember the other story elements? What do all fictional stories have to have besides characters? Anyone remember? The where and the when of the story is the setting. Coming back to you. Stories always have to have a problem. Yeah, they might have several problems. They've got a lot of events. And then finally, the problem is usually solved, the solution. So when I read a story, these are the things I'm looking for. So what we're going to do today is we're going to predict what we think a story is going to be about. And I'm giving you 9 strips. We're just going to read these together. The only reason I've numbered them is so that we can all be on the same track. All right? So let's read them together. Let's read number 1 together. Matt goes to the window and looks outside at the dark clouds. All right, so I want you you're just going to line them up in front of you like this. So put that one at the top by your name. Perfect. Let's do number 2. A man pulls up in a truck and Lucky jumps out. Put that right there. Number 3. Matt spots a tornado and runs to the basement with his mom. Number 4. Matt turns on the radio to listen to the weather report. Number 5. Matt and his mom stay under a big table until the storm passed. 6. Matt greets his dog Lucky after jumping off the bus one hot summer day. Yeah, where's number 5? Matt and his mom stand at a table. Okay, and then this one's, we'll do that one. 7. Is he stuff behind? Yeah, here it is. Here. It might be stuff up. There it is right here. Number 7. Matt can't find Lucky when he goes outside after the storm. And then 8 is, Matt sits down to do his homework but is interrupted by Lucky's barking. And the last one is, Lucky ran outside to find, oh, that's supposed to say Matt. Matt ran outside to find Lucky barking at the sky. All right, so do we know any characters in this so far?
Yeah.
Who's a character, Tavion? Who's one of the characters?
Matt.
We've got Matt
Lucky.
and Lucky. We've got Matt, Lucky. Are there any other characters?
Mom.
Mom is there. Do we know anything about the setting, just by looking at these few little clues?
Basement.
Yeah, there's a basement,
There's a
and there's outside. Do we have a hint as to what the problem might be?
tornado.
Tornado.
You can't find his dog.
I can't find this dog. All right, so here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to predict the order. You need to change the order of these. Take about 1 minute to see if you can change the order to predict what do you think's going to happen first. What's going to make sense? How will the story begin? Keep going. And this is the order. Does that make sense to you? The events. Now read them all in a row and see if it makes sense to you. Does this make sense? The order it's in now? So you've got Matt spots a tornado and runs to the basement with his mom, or Matt turns on the radio to listen to the weather report.
table. Well, that makes sense. Matt greets his dog Lucky after jumping off the bus one hot summer day. Where do you think that goes? Okay. Matt sits down to do his homework, but is interrupted by Lucky's barking. Think that no? Okay. Think you got it now? Okay. Okay, this one goes. A man pulls up in his truck and Lucky jumps out. Yeah, okay. Remember, this is a prediction, so you don't have to be, I don't expect you to, have you read the book yet? No, so you don't really know this order of this. You're just predicting. So we're gonna read the book, The Storm, and you're exactly right. It's about a young boy named Matt and his dog Lucky, and the storm that's coming is a tornado. So I've got some Post-it notes in here. The first Post-it note I put on page 7. So what I want you to do is open your book to page 2. Open it up to page 2. There weren't any words on these first couple pages that I thought you wouldn't be able to figure out. So what I'd like you to do is to read the first 6 pages to the first stopping point. And I want you just to read it to yourself. I'm going to just ask you to whisper read because I want to be able to hear you read a little bit. But go ahead and start reading this, and then I'll tell you what I want you to do. I'm going to start reading for everybody. Go ahead.
I'll be back soon with Matt for the guys for the meeting. For Lucky, Lucky's waterfall as he started out. Yes, for Matt, Lucky began to fight. Lucky did Lucky.
Good, keep reading to the Post-it note. Where you at? Have you read it all? Would you go back and start reading it again? Just so I can hear it. If you get done before everyone else, just go back and reread it to yourself. Go ahead, sweetie.
He started running across the field to his house and throwing to the net. It was just about 2 yards. Baby Lucky, they had called his dog and found him toward him.
Good, keep reading. so I think everyone's read it once. So let's go back, turn your book over like this for me, and let's go back to your cards. So now if we were to look at the cards, would we need to change the order of the cards based on what we just read? What's going to be the sequence? What happened first in the story when you look at these cards? See if you can find the card that would come first. I know which one I've got. Yes. All right. So two people, I see two people. Christian and Lanai, I think, have Linnea grabbed the right cards. Christian, read the card that you pulled up.
Matt is looking at the picture with us. One hot
Turn to page 2. Look what's happening on page 2. It says Matt Roberts jumped off the yellow bus that brought him home from school every day. So we know that number 6 should come first if we're going to retell the story. All right, then what happens? See if you can find which one would come next. What happened? If you're not sure, I want you to look back in the book. What happened after he got home? Which one do you think? Ah, I agree. I think this comes in here soon, but there's one that comes right in between it. Is that what happened? If you go back and look at the book, is that what happened next? I want you to look in the book. I agree. So we've got Matt getting off the school bus. Then what happens? Then what happens?
Lucky ran outside to come in.
Did Matt find, is Lucky outside barking? Look at your book to see if that's what happened next. Not quite agreeing with that one. Let's go back in here. What happens?
There's a picture of him doing.
Yeah, there's a picture even of us doing his homework. So what came next? Read it for us.
Max sits down to do his homework, but he is interrupted by Lucky's barking.
He's interrupted by Lucky's barking. So Matt's gonna sit down to do his homework, but he's interrupted by Lucky's barking. That one is, did you find it? There you go. All right, then what did we say? What happened next? You have to change any other ones? What happened next? He's doing his homework. What's gonna happen next? See what happened next?
I don't know.
Or- Which one? It's number 1, you're right. Matt goes to the window and looks outside the dark clouds. We got to that point. Then what happens?
Matt ran outside to find Lucky barking at the sky.
Now we've got Matt going outside to find Lucky barking at the sky, number 9. So what you're doing is, a lot of times we can predict what the story's going to be about based on the cover, based on the pictures, based on the back. I wanted you to predict beforehand. The important part of remembering it is to go back into your story. All right, do we have time for any more, or do I need to, what time did we start? Anyone keep track?
11:05.
It was 11:05, and I wanted to stop here. All right, here's what I'd like you to do. Take your first 4 and put them in the right order like this. And then I want you to stack up the rest right behind them, so that if we were to do this, we'd want to finish using these to see if we could retell the story that go along with our predictions. Remind me, what does every story have to have? Tell me one thing, Chastity, that every story has to have. Characters. Christian, what's another thing that every story has to have?
Problem?
It's gotta have a problem. Linnea?
Yes. A
Yep.
solution?
It's gotta have a solution. What else, Dan? Events. Do you remember the last one, Tavion? You got it. And now,
we know we're reading this when we come to it.